What's up guys, it's Josh from KeepItTechie, and today I want to do part 2 of my MySQL tutorial for Linux. Okay, as I stated, I'll be doing part 2 of my MySQL tutorial, and this will all be done on Ubuntu 18.04, and I'll be covering the most important part of MySQL, which is managing databases as well as tables. I should have done this part of the video first. If you check out my last MySQL video, I just kind of covered a few queries, how to actually run some queries, but I didn't do any explanation on how to actually create databases or tables, which is what you need in order to manipulate data as well as run queries on it. So I wanted to show you guys that in today's video. So let's get started on that. So as you could probably tell, I'm SSH'd into a Ubuntu 18.4 server. And I want to go down and show you guys how to actually manage MySQL databases and tables. I'll basically cover 4 parts in this video. It's basically how to create a database, how to create a table, and then how to drop that table, as well as drop the database itself, which I didn't show in the previous video. I just hopped right into queries, so I want to step back and just go down and show you guys how to actually do that first. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is log into MySQL, and the way you do that is by simply typing sudo MySQL and then -u for user, and we want to log into our root account, and then -p, that will allow them to access for a password. If you're logged in as root, it wouldn't ask you this, but since I'm using sudo, I'm not logged in as the root account. I'm using my user account on the system. Then I have to type in my sudo password, and then it will actually ask me for my MySQL password. So just type both of those passwords in if you're doing it that way. Otherwise, if you're logged in as root, it's just going to ask you for that password one time, and you should be good. And then also, you don't have to use sudo if you're logged into the root account. You can just type MySQL -u, the root, and then -p, and it'll ask you for your password for your root account for MySQL. So as you can see, we're logged in. And I kind of went through a lot of this in the previous video, so I won't mess with it. But if you need any help, you can always type in HLP, and that'll bring up the help, or /h, and that will actually bring up the help as well. So the first thing I want to do is show you guys how to create a database. And what I want to do first is actually show the databases that are actually on the server. And you don't have to do this all caps. I'm just doing it this way so you guys can follow along if you need to. And then so show databases, and then semicolon, which closes out the SQL statement. Press enter. That'll show us all the databases that are in this actual database or in MySQL. So that's cool. As you can see, this is some built-in like schema, performance schema, system database, and then MySQL database itself. And then this is the database I actually used when running the queries before, so that's still there. So first thing I want to do is show you guys how to actually create a new database, and it's very simple. It's a very simple command. It's just create database, and then the database name, which I'm going to name it test DB, and then we have to put a semicolon at the end. And as you can see, query OK, one row affected, so that means the database has been created. So I want to run that previous command, which was show databases again, just to make sure that database is there. And as you can see, testdb is there, so we're good to go. So as you can see, creating databases are very simple. It's just a quick command of create database, and then the database name, and you're good to go. So now let's start using this database. So I want to create a couple tables. So the first command you want to kind of type in. And this is just to let MySQL know that you want to work with this specific database at this time. So all the commands after this will be ran on that database or for that specific database. So what we want to do is type use, and then we want to type in the database that we want to use, which is testdb, and then semicolon at the end. Press enter, and so as you can see, it states database change. So right now any command that we run will be associated to that database, which is testdb, so it won't touch any of the others. So when we run our create table command, it won't touch any other database. Okay, so before we move on, I wanted to go on and switch screens so I can show you guys the MySQL data types. Now, the next step I want to show you guys is actually creating a table. And within the table, you have multiple columns where you store data. Well, you need to understand what data type will be going into each one of those columns for each record that's stored into the table. And I just wanted to show you guys the most common data types. I have them listed here so you guys can check them out. It's basically, I want to go through, let's see, bit. That's basically a bit volume. A boolean is basically true or false. Char, which is characters. Date, which is basically simply the date. Date time, it stores a value that contains both date and time. Decimal, which stores exact numeric values, so it'll go down the decimal places of the actual numerical value. Enum, it stores enumeration values. Init, which is a very common one, which is basically integer data type. JSON, you can store JSON documents. Timestamp, which is date and time converted to the server time. So whenever you put something in there as a timestamp, it'll convert it to the server time. So no matter where it is or wherever that timestamp is generated from, it'll put it in local server time. And varchar, which is basically a variable length string. So those are the different data types that you can use to create columns within a table. So now let me go on and show you guys how to go on and create a table. Okay, so now that you guys understand that, I want to go on and create a table for you guys. And the way you do that is simply create table. And we want to name that table. So I want to name it US data. And now you have to specify the columns within the table. So let's start off with user underscore ID. And then what we want to do is set that as init. And we want to auto increment it. And basically what that is doing, it's it'll put a value in there and it'll increment the values, and it's all numerical. So this is normally what you use as the primary key. I'll get into that in a little bit, but this is simply the primary key, what you would use for a primary key, which is a unique identifier for the actual record that's being added to the data or the table. And then let's go and make this the primary key. And then comma, and you have to specify each column separately by putting comma. So the next one we want to do, let's see, F name, which is something I've used in the past at work. It's basically first name, it's just the way I've always named it. Or you can name it different ways, whatever. Some people put FN. I've seen it different ways depending on the actual server or whoever created the server. So 255. And what I'm doing right here is specifying the length of the column. So it can't have more than 255 characters within this column. So, and then I want this to be not null, which I don't have to do it. I just kind of have a table written out for myself that I created. And actually we could press enter on this and this will continue. I don't know why I did it that way, but I knew I could have pressed enter and continued the line. It's all good. And then this one will basically be the same. For chore 255, and then we want to make that one not null as well. And basically what not null means, that means that this column within each record cannot be null, meaning that it can't have anything in it. So, and then also we want to do DOB, and let's make that date. And so you don't have to put a comma after that one, and then you can close out the bracket and then put a semicolon. That'll end the actual statement. Press enter and it will go through and create that table for you. Now that we created that table, let's go down and create another one. So, and I'm not gonna use any caps in this one just to show you that'll work just the same, whatever, but I'll make another one. This one will be EU data, meaning Europe data, and let's do the exact same thing. So user, and just to make this video a little faster, let's go down and copy some of this stuff since we already typed it in, comma, and this is normally the way I do it at work. And actually I'm using this more in I use mostly SQL Server Management Studio. I use Microsoft products at work. So SQL Server Management Studio is where I do a lot of this stuff. But it's pretty much the same thing here. It's just all command line. It looks a little confusing, but it's not that bad. And then let's do the last part, which is the date of birth. And I'm taking the time to show you this so you guys can fully understand, you know, how to actually create a table. And let's press enter and it'll create that table as well. Cool. So now let's use another statement. This will actually view the table for us, or actually show the tables that we created. And that command is actually describe use data, which is my US data. Press enter. And as you can see, it'll break it out for you and show you everything. Okay, so this is the field, and then they got the type. Then they got the if it's null or not, and then primary key. We set this as the primary key, and defaults is null. So that means that before data is added, it is null. It allows null there, or you could put 0 depending on, you know, depending on what type of data it is. But most of the time it's set to null. And then this is the extra column, which shows that this one is auto incremented. So, and then we could do the same thing for the second table that we created, which was EU. And same exact thing. It's the same exact table, it's just a different name. Which is cool. Okay, so before I show you how to actually drop the tables, which is basically deleting the tables from the actual database, I want to show you guys how to rename a table. So let's say we want to rename that EU data table to, let's say, a Mexico data table. So the command for that is simply rename table, and then you put in the name that it currently is, which is EU data, and then you put 2, and then we want to turn it to Mexico data, so MX DATTA, and press put semicolon at the end of it and press enter. And as you can see, it successfully ran. So if we describe MX data, boom, we'll see that it's created that table. Okay, and one thing I forgot to show you guys, I just kind of went straight into describe, just showing you how to actually show all the columns that we created. But the way you look at all the tables that are within that database that we created, it's a simple command. I think I showed it in the last one. It's basically show tables and then semicolon, and that'll actually show us the tables that are in the test DB. So as you can see, that US data table is there, as well as that MX data table, which was changed from EU. So that just kind of shows you that the EU table has basically been renamed. Okay, and the last thing I want to show you guys is pretty simple. It's basically getting rid of tables as well as getting rid of databases. Now we can just do drop database, but I want to show you how to get rid of the tables first and then go in and delete the database. So let's go drop tables. Table, I'm sorry. It's drop table and then the actual table that you want to get rid of. So let's say we want to get rid of the US data. So that is the SQL statement to actually remove that table. So if we go drop table, as you see, query OK, and if we do show tables again, you'll see that the US data is gone. And so the next thing I want to show you, you can actually remove multiple tables at the same time or drop multiple tables at the same time. We just would have had to put a comma and then the second database as well, which I'm not going to do because US data is already gone. But that's actually bringing up another thing I wanted to show you guys. So if you do drop table not knowing that that table is gone, I just wanted to show you guys the error of that. It'll say unknown table test db.us data, it's gone. So that gives you an indication that the actual table is gone, or it's not found in that database anymore. So, and let's go on and delete the Mexico data one now as well, just to clean them all out. So let's go show tables. And as you can see, there's no more tables in that database. So lastly, I want to show you guys how to remove the actual database. So I want to go show databases and press enter. And it'll show us all the databases again. And I want to remove that test DB. So it's a very simple command, just like drop table. Instead, it's drop database. And then we want to drop the test DB. And semicolon at the end, press enter. And as you can see, it's gone. So let's do show databases again. And you'll see that that table is actually gone now. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing a third MySQL video, just showing some more stuff. I haven't worked out exactly what I'm actually doing in the video, but that's actually coming soon. So please stay tuned. And as I stated, I'm gonna keep coming with these Linux videos, MySQL videos. So please keep staying tuned to my channel. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down in the comment box below. And of course, keep it techie.